So this is a presentation. If you came to our, oh wait, let me introduce myself. My name is Elexis. My pronouns is she, her, hers. I am a health science major here at NJCU. A little about myself. I am Vice President of Black Freedom Society here on campus, and I also intern at the Women's Center. I chose this topic actually last semester with Dr. Erin O'Neill for our health planning class. My group, we had the topic of the breastfeeding, and mine was more so of a like an informational aspect and just giving you more information on breastfeeding. Today, I'll go a little more in depth with my presentation. So you'll see as we go through the differences from last semester to now. So it's called Milk Matter, to pump or not to pump. Got milk. So here is the goal of my PowerPoint presentation, is to basically raise awareness and to educate the community about the importance of breastfeeding, especially my community, the African American community, because while doing research last semester and this year, I realized that we seem to be at the bottom when it comes to getting our education and our resources aspects on the importance of breastfeeding and actually how to breastfeed and who actually benefits from being breastfed and how it can actually impact not just you and your child, but also the community. So hopefully by the end of this presentation, all participants will have more knowledge on the positive effects of breastfeeding, along with the proper resources that breastfeeding can bring you, your baby, and your community. Right now, I just want to take a quick post test just to see the participants' knowledge on breastfeeding. So if you have an iPhone, if you have a QR code, you can scan the QR code. If not, then I have a link that you can use. I don't know if it's in the chat or not yet. Let me check. Oh, well, I can't see the chat, so I'm sorry. Was everybody able to scan it or no? I'm not too sure. Can't see the chat. Okay, there we go. So there goes the link that Crystal just shared. You can click on that link to take it as well if you can't scan. And then everybody can just raise their hand when they're done. So. Okay. Okay, so I'll just continue with the presentation. If you're still taking the quiz, feel free to take it, but we'll just keep going. So here I found statistics. So as you can see here, where it says, you can see here that the Caucasian community has a higher rate when it comes to breastfeeding compared to the African American, Hispanics, and Asian community. And as you can see, the African American community falls at the lowest when it comes to breastfeeding. Our percentages are much lower compared to our counterparts. And this is as of 2014. So here we have a few things that plays a role as to breastfeeding, like the statistics I found. So I found that African American infants, 74% to be exact, have have not been breastfed compared to their Caucasians, who have been breastfed at 86%, and Hispanics at 82%. Statistics also show that women who are enrolled in WIC are less likely to breastfeed their children, which is at 75%, compared to those who aren't eligible, which are at 92%. They're more than likely to breastfeed. Younger mothers, ages 20 to 29, are less likely to breastfeed compared to mothers who are older, who may have more experience and information on breastfeeding. So here's a slide that talks a little bit about how breastfeeding benefits the mother, because while we know it benefits the baby, many moms may not understand how breastfeeding can actually help them along the way. So we have that mothers can actually lose weight by having to produce milk for their baby in breastfeeding. So by having to build up the supply constantly from pumping and feeding, you have to constantly build up that supply, and that helps you to lose up to like 500 calories a day, depending on how much milk you pump. You can also help your uterus returning back to normal size due to contractions from when you breastfeed. That sends signals to your uterus to contract, what helps it returns back to normal size. Then you also have reports that show that mothers who breastfed, there's less cases of postpartum bleeding, along with if you breastfeed for a certain amount of time. Many women may not know the longer you breastfeed, the more benefits you have. So one would be you have a lower rate of type 2 diabetes. There's also lower rates of breast and ovarian cancers in mothers who breastfeed as well. So some protections that your baby has from when you breastfeed, you protect your baby from things such as asthma. You lower their rate of having leukemia. You also help them with obesity, ear infections, eczema, diarrhea and vomiting, lower respiratory infections, and SIDS, which is sudden infant death syndrome, and type 2 diabetes as well. Many people may not know that breastfeeding actually benefits the society as well. This is something new to me as well that I found while doing my research. So some ways that breastfeeding can actually have a positive impact on your society is that it saves lives. So 90% of families that breastfeed for 6 months, nearly 1,000 deaths among those infants were prevented, along with you can save money by breastfeeding because you have less visits to the doctor due to the protection that breastfeeding brings your baby. So that means less sickness, meaning less time you have to spend in the hospital for trying to treat your child. Also makes more productive workforces. So mothers who breastfeed miss less work because they have less to have to take care of their child, seeing as though their child won't be as sick as often versus them using formula. They probably have to take off from work to constantly take care of their child. And it's also good on the environment because you don't have to use cans from the formulas and bottles and you don't have to like worry about trash being thrown out because you have natural supply. So here I'm just gonna ask in the chat box, do anyone know any signals that a baby may give if they're hungry or if they're full? And I'll just let you answer in the chat box below.
Chewing or biting their hand, right?
Okay.
I see crying, mouth forms to fit around nipple.
Okay, so we'll just start going through the little nicks and crannies and things of that nature. So sometimes they put their hands to their mouth, you know, turn their head away from the breast or bottle, pucker their lips, smacks, or has clenched hands. And then when they're full, they usually close their mouth, turn their head away, relax their hands. And then depending on the age, so from 6 to 24 months as well, their signs are a little similar, but a little different as well, just depending on the age of the child. So you have their reach for the food or open their mouth for the food or the spoon, gets excited when they see the food, and hand motions and sounds. They'll push the food away, close their mouth, turn their head away from the food, and use hand motions and sounds to let you know that they're full as well. And then here, I just have images in case some people are more visual learners than actual reading. So here we have our early cues of when someone is hungry, our mid cues, and then our late cues to show when a baby is hungry. And these are like just the visuals you can see in case. This is a video here on how to pump and store your breast milk, which I found very important, so enjoy.
Knowing how to pump and store breast milk can be an important part of feeding your baby. Begin by washing your hands. Make sure all bottles and parts of the breast pump are clean before each use. Assemble the pump. Then find a comfortable spot to sit. Breast shields come in different sizes. Choose ones that allow your nipples to move freely inside. Place a shield over each nipple. It should be centered over your areola, the dark circle of skin around your nipple. Now, turn on the pump. Adjust the speed and suction to a level that feels comfortable. To avoid nipple damage, use the lowest setting that allows milk to flow comfortably. If you're using a manual pump, control the speed of pumping by squeezing the handle. It might take a few minutes for your milk to start flowing. It can help to be near your baby, to look at a picture or video of your baby, or to smell an article of clothing. Try to relax as best you can. Once milk begins flowing, it's called letdown. Pumping usually takes about 15 to 20 minutes. Pump until your breasts are empty. That's when milk stops flowing or the flow becomes weak. When finished, store milk in clean, sealed bottles or in pre-sterilized breast milk bags. Label each bag or bottle with the date and use the oldest milk first. At home, breast milk can be stored at room temperature for up to 4 hours, in a refrigerator for up to 4 days, in a freezer for up to 6 months, or in a deep freezer for up to 1 year. To defrost breast milk, thaw in the refrigerator overnight or place in a bowl of warm water. Make sure the container remains tightly sealed. Never microwave breast milk. Use defrosted milk within 24 hours. Do not refreeze. Once your baby has started to drink the milk, it's only good for about an hour. Throw away any leftovers. Follow the manufacturer instructions for how to clean the parts of your breast pump. If you have questions about pumping, storing, and giving your breast milk, talk with your doctor or lactation consultant.
And that was just a quick little video I found, which I found very important because we'll get into why you should pump a little bit after this. So here's the slide on why you should pump. It offers you more free time when you actually pump because you're pre-planned, so you have more time to probably clean the house or just have you time, depending on, you know, your circumstances. You could depend on others to feed the baby, seeing as though you're breastfeeding. You may feel as though you're the only person who can feed the child, seeing as though you're the one supplying the child with the milk. But if you pump your milk, you leave more time, which goes back into having free time for yourself, and you can have either the father or, depending on anybody in the family, to help you feed the baby as well. Your baby can have milk before they're hungry. Kids typically get hungry quick, or, you know, depending on the age and stuff like that as well. So you can always be ready whenever your child is hungry, even though you just fed them. It's kind of important to have that supply on hand just in case they randomly get hungry and you can't just, you know, start breastfeeding right away. If there's enough milk supply, you can actually help by donating your milk to other mothers as well, who may not be able to supply their baby with milk, and you can just become an ally like that. Here at NJCU, we actually have a lactation station now for mothers, and it's on the 3rd floor in our Gilligan Student Union building, also known as G-Sub, room 319. This is just a little flyer I made for it. So if you have any questions, you can call the CLE office right here. They also have guidelines that you can go and get from the CLE and G-Sub here. So this is just an important fact I found, that it is important, not important, but it is recommended to pump right after breastfeeding. That way you can have your supply and you can start building up your supply stock on breast milk. And this is just another visual for those who may be better at looking at images versus hearing words. So this is just how to pump the breast milk. And then here are some good resources. You can go to EWEWC. These are mothers who have been breastfeeding, so they have a little one-on-one experience with you if you feel comfortable going that route. You also have a lactation counselor that you can go to. I know last semester we had one. She came in and she was able to help some people. You can also go to your hospital nurse. So after giving birth, you can ask the nurse to assist you with finding a comfortable position to help your baby latch and to help your baby feed better. Your pediatric care provider, that way you can know if your breast milk is actually beneficial to your baby going back, just in case if your breast supply does not help. You can also have allies like other mothers who may have breastfed and had storage that can donate to you. And then your OBGYN, because they can help you to plan breastfeeding before you actually start breastfeeding. These are just some resources here that I found within New Jersey for breastfeeding. So let me see if I can open it. So here's the website. It just goes in depth to show you in case you have any questions. They have EWEWC offices that you can call. You have different links that you can click on to get a little more information on it. Here's a little video I found. It is kind of old, so forgive me, but I wanted to find a woman, an African American woman, to speak on her breastfeeding experience, because this presentation is about the importance within the African American community and how we can better become more in tune with breastfeeding and receiving more information on breastfeeding. So I'll just let her talk about her experience.
I'll give my IUD in the next couple of months. Everybody, okay, I'm back. Now, this video is going to be about breastfeeding 101. Now, I consider myself a veteran. Yes, I do. It's because I've had 3 children consecutively. They're 3 years old, 20 months, and 3 weeks old. I breastfed all of them full time, no formula. I did give them breast milk in a bottle when I had to, only when I was going to go out that night, or if I had something to do anything in critical care. I give them breast milk up until they had, up until they were giving me breast milk anymore. Also, who's up on that? Okay, so I breastfed them. My first 2 were to 12 months to 14 months. And Amir 12 months, Isaiah 14 months, and Elijah I plan on nursing him for 18 months. And I actually anticipated on nursing all 3 of my children to 18 months, but I didn't because I ended up getting pregnant after they turned 1. The weird time when I got pregnant, when Elijah turned, when Isaiah turned 1, I got pregnant. And I'm done. I'm getting my IUD in the next couple of weeks, next 3 weeks, I'm getting the IUD. So I'll be back to update you guys on that. But I made a list really quickly so I could just get to it. Okay, as soon as you have your baby, had them, you're exhausted, you're tired, you don't want to look at them, or sometimes maybe you do want to look at them, but as soon as you have it, as soon as you get a chance to, put the baby near your breast. Try to feed them, even if you don't have, well, you're going to have colostrum. You're going to have like this clear liquid, actually it's yellow when you put it on paper, and it looks sticky. Well, it dries it. That's what the baby eats as soon as he comes out. And then maybe 3 to 4 days your breast will come. But even if you have a C-section, I know you're tired, I know you're in pain, I know you just want to sleep. Hold your baby near your breast so he can smell you. He can get your scent. And if anything, if you just get your nipple and then squeeze, because you can express milk by hand. You don't need breast pumps. So that's another chapter. That'll be like 104 or something. But even if you just express a little for the colostrum on his lips so he can taste it, and he'll go. That's what they do. They gas for milk. Do that. And breastfeeding is challenging. The baby doesn't know what to do. You have to teach him. You know what I mean? And if you as a first-time mom or first-time breastfeeding, you don't know what to do. You guys kind of learn together. So the first child is kind of difficult, but after a couple of days, you'll get the hang of it. So just put a little of the colostrum on his lips and on his tongue to see. You can try to breastfeed from there. Also, try not to give your baby formula. When you get in the hospital and sometimes they let the baby sleep in the nursery, keep your baby in the room with you. Get up and feed them. Hold them near your breast. Try not to give them formula. Try not to. It's just complicated. They don't really get confused. Well, yeah, they get confused and they're like, I want breast milk, I want formula. Some might say, some of the babies might, if they take your formula, they might not want your breast. Or like in my case, my children, I think I was gone one day and my mother-in-law tried to give my baby formula and he was like, what's that? He was like, my mama milk, I don't want that. You know what I mean? So try not, if you want to breastfeed exclusively, stick to it. It's wonderful. It's the best thing for your baby. Try not to give formula if you have it. If you don't, if you can help it. Make sure you're, okay, now when you're nursing, make sure the baby's lips are plain. And what plain means is that the lips are like this. So his lips should be like this over your nipple, and his tongue should be down. So if you're inserting your breast into his mouth, make sure his tongue is down and his lips are plain over your areola. And that's the dark part of your nipple, out of your breast. That's your nipple. Your nipple is gonna crack and bleed, and it's gonna hurt. Do not put the baby in your nipple. And they don't know any better. So when you like try to put your breast in the baby's mouth, they like chomp down with their nose on the first thing they see. And it's your job to kind of maneuver the breast into the mouth. And what I like to do is take my thumb and index finger, flatten my breast to where it's like why don't you explain like that? I put it in his mouth and I lift up his top lip. He was explaining that he sucks. He sucks really good. He gets a good flow up going. And he's happy. Okay, next thing. Oh, you should.
Yeah, just have to be curfew going on. Just like I shut the door, please.
Stop laughing. He's like, he fell asleep on it with his mouth still open. Just stick your pinky on the side of his mouth and pull down on his tongue. And you'll open his mouth and you can just pull your breath out. He'll release it. Okay. The bad thing about breastfeeding, it's not really bad. It's just a natural order thing. Is that you're gonna cramp crazy when you're breastfeeding. You cramp after having a baby anyway, but every time you breastfeed the baby, you're gonna get cramping, and all it is your uterus shrinking back to the side. So you're losing weight. That's all it is. You're losing weight. You can take medicine for it. I'm not gonna lie, I did take Motrin, like a family for that time, and the hospital offered me vitamins. Do not take vitamins. Do not take vitamins if you can help it. Now, if you have a C-section, girl, you can't do. Because I have never had a C-section, so I don't know what that is, but I've given birth to an 8-pound baby naturally. So, and I didn't have to take vitamins. So, if I can do it, you can do it. Not the tiniest thing in this earth. And, so yeah, it'll be cramping, but it's only temporary lasting.
Okay, so that was just a little bit of her experience when it came to breastfeeding. So now I'm just going to continue with my presentation. So here's just a visual of basically what she was saying about how to breastfeed. Here's a good way on how to get the baby to latch. The other picture just shows different positions that you can breastfeed your baby in. That's why it's important to figure out which position is comfortable for you and your child when it comes to breastfeeding. While doing research, I realized I came across something called Black Breastfeeding Week, which is August 25th through the 31st of August. This was something I didn't know about, which I found very interesting, so I just wanted to share it here today with you all. And then here's my conclusion. For my conclusion, I just ask that you list at least 3 things that you learned from my presentation in the chat box that we have available for you all.
Or you can raise your hand too if you want to share it with everyone.
Yeah, if you would like to say verbally too. If you would like, you can unmute yourself too and speak and say what you've learned. And while that's happening, I also have an evaluation, which is a QR code. I would try to get the link in case you weren't able to scan the code. So I'll try to find the link for you all and have it in the chat box.
I have it, Alexis, no worries.
Okay. And you can use this time if you have any questions for me, you can ask or, yeah.
I just want to highlight what Sasha is saying. She says, or they say, hi everyone, just for the sake of inclusivity, as a doula, I use the term chest feeding for parents of all gender identities and all family structures. The word breastfeeding might not be accurate or comfortable for non-binary or trans people, and having to hear a word associated with another gender or your past gender used to describe how you feed your baby might be triggering.
Crystal.
This is great, thank you.
You muted for a little bit.
Oh no, okay, sorry, hold on. use the term chest feeding for parents of all gender identities and all family structures for the word breastfeeding might not be accurate or comfortable for non-binary or trans people, and having to hear a word associated with another gender or your past gender used to describe how you feed your baby might be triggering. But I guess this up to the person. Great info. Thank you, Sasha, for sharing.
Okay, so I'll pass it back over to Crystal. Thank you, everyone.